Dear poor people, please tell Sunny Hostin to watch this video so she can learn something. So here we go again. Sunny Hostin is on The View trying to have a conversation about education, which I'll let you decide. To me, doesn't make any sense. However, I did find something interesting. Shout out to our friends over at Pop and Politics. Those women there seem to have a good idea of what's going on. So let's take a look.
Our public schools educate 90% of our students. According to the National Education Association, which is actually the largest union in the United States, the labor union, they say that this voucher system actually gives to private school institutions money that is now not accountable to taxpayers. They also say that that means public school students have this: less access to musical instruments, science equipment, modern technology, textbooks, after-school programs. There's zero statistical evidence, zero, that voucher programs improve overall student success.
Well, why don't we, instead of think about the school, think about the kids? I've heard this for so many years, and it's time for Americans to realize black kids need a chance just like anybody else. And those who are against black kids and black parents having the same choice that everybody else, have to kind of look at what their purpose is, what's behind that. I'll say this: Baltimore, 13 schools have zero proficiency in math. You have 14% of kids who can actually have literacy, can actually get out and go out and produce. Go to California. 2017, 75% of black boys in the state of California could not read and write. Now, these are places where they do not allow kids to have an option. If you have the money, if you live in the right zip code, you can go to any school you want to go to. Black kids who have the same opportunity, just want to have the dream. We want our families to succeed. They should have a choice. And if a school system is not working, why should we force them to go there? If the school system is working, then people will flood there. So no, it's about choice, just like anything else. And it's time for us to give our kids a chance to grow and succeed in terms of education.
No, this is absolutely correct. And although Sunny Hostin says that there is zero evidence that kids who are receiving a voucher have an increased overall performance, I don't know if that's true, but I also don't know if that's not true because I haven't looked to find out. But I can tell you what I do know is true. The first thing is he mentions Burgess Owens, who was talking with the lady from Pops and Politics. He mentions that if a school system is performing, then you don't have to worry that people will want to come to it. The only reason people are looking for alternatives, and he gave some examples of places where the school system is absolutely failing, and those places seem to be places that are where Black children are heavily concentrated in those areas, and so therefore have a large number of Black children are consigned to these failing school systems, and no one seems to care. Now, let me tell you why I don't care if the people who are left in the public school system don't have access to musical instruments and don't have access to other things, because school system is being paid for by the tax dollars of the parents. And the parents should have a right to direct their tax dollars to places where they're going to get the most value. And if the public school system in a particular area can't provide value for a tax system, then forcing them to spend their money on failure, I think Burgess Owens is correct. He says, well, you have to ask yourself, why are these people continuing to do this? And I have an idea of what it is. You all have heard me say this before. I think it's money laundering. And I have to keep saying that because I can't find another reason why people continue to not only pay, but increase the amount of money that they give to failure. If put it this way, if I was a crazy conspiracy person, and if I said, oh, I want to find a way to launder money to the teachers unions or to teachers or to school departments, how would I do it? I would get the product, which is the student, and I would create laws and regulations that force the students to be there. And then I would also tax the taxpayer and the student's parents to get the money. And I wouldn't teach the student, but what I would have is a head count. Because if they tell me it's $9,000, $13,000, $22,000, whatever it's going to be per pupil funding, then all I need is the bodies in the building so I can count the head. And once I get the bodies, I can go to the treasury of that city or that state or that municipality and extort the money and get the money. And once I get the money, now I can funnel it to teachers, to the teachers union, to educational systems, to curriculum systems, to all of these cottage industries that are underneath the umbrella of education and underneath the school system, all of the vendors that are being used. And maybe I'm getting political, if you have a contract with the school system and the school system is run by, certain party or certain candidates, then maybe, you keep your contract as long as we see what's happening in Dalton. And so, this idea of money laundering, it sounds fantastical because, we think of it in terms of movies and the way it's talked about there. But really, it's very, very simple. What they have to effectively launder this money. And I can't think it's anything else because I can't understand why people are paying, why we are subsidizing failure. That makes no sense. Other than there's a population of people or vendors or folks who are receiving this money who for some reason demand to receive it for the services that they provide because they're laundering services. And then the taxpayer gets extorted for this failure. It just doesn't seem to make any other sense other than that. And I know it can sound crazy, but my question is, if you wanted to launder money using the school system, what other way would you do it? That seems like the easiest way. It's the most, and you can trot the kids out there and say, you have no explanation for why they're not learning. Okay. And then everybody sits around, scratches their head. And the few people who say, wait a second, we just can't take this anymore. We want our kids to have a chance. We believe that our kids are talented and they're smart. And with the proper instruction and in the right environment, they will do well. And we want to take them out. And we want to take our taxpayer money back and use it in a place where we can get value for it. I just don't think you can blame parents for that. I don't. And I wonder why people such as Sunny Hostin and those women on The View, why they are so anti this. It seems very, it just does not seem right. I don't know if they're a part of all of this or they have some ideological reasons why this makes sense to them, but it certainly doesn't seem to make sense to consign kids, particularly Black kids who they swear they're always so concerned about. Yet all of their concern only seems to consign Black kids to failure. I think that's wrong.
Why is it that the teachers unions are against this? They're the ones that are putting out this information against these education vouchers.
Well, I think we found out over COVID that the teachers union is not for our kids. They were keeping schools shut down. We have learning loss now. Who got hurt the worst? The minority communities. Got hurt worse in terms of their ability to catch up. So no, what we found out the last 3 or 4 years, and it's been a good thing for us Americans to wake up. Not only do they not give our kids a chance to go and get educated, but the kind of stuff they're teaching them will not help them to grow. So the teachers union is not our friend. The teachers union is about the teachers union. These public school systems, many of them are just about the public school system. We want to get people in place that care about our kids, that care about our race, care about our country. And to do that, we need to have people like him to come to step in and represent us in D.C.
Absolutely. Last question, Congressman Owens. Our mantra on Pop in Politics for 2024 is to be aware and prepare. What would you say is the number one issue we should be aware of, and then how do we prepare for it?
We have a country right now, and I think the last couple of years we've seen that we're teaching our kids not to be appreciative of our nation, be appreciative of the free market, having a business and going out and growing it, having a family that we can actually depend on and that is very close and we can give us the backing we all need. So we have to fight for this concept. Our legacy of our country is how well we've done. And so I would say this, that's why education is a big piece of that. If we teach our kids not to love our country, not to love each other, to look at each other and judge each other based on our skin color, we're going backwards. So it's now time for us to really get this thing done right. And Kim is a good example of how this is going to work out. We need to make sure we keep this going forward.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
So again, we want to shout out the woman over at Pop in Politics. I like their channel. They're doing a great job over there. So shout out to them and thank them for bringing this to us so that we could all see this. But I don't think it's a big mystery. People are pretending. I don't believe that they're sincere when they act as if they don't understand why children are failing. We have been successful. At one time, America was leading the world in education and led for many, many years. We know how to educate children. The fact that we are not educating children, in my opinion, is on purpose. And let me give you an example. We don't have to sit and figure out, oh my God, what are we going to do? How do you teach people to read? How do you teach them how to be proficient in math? How do you teach them to have critical thinking skills? Okay, we know this. Walter Williams, who I have such, God rest his soul, have such admiration for, has already handled this for us. He has told us what is the secret sauce of failure. The secret sauce of failure is this. Walter Williams says 4 things, a great economist, says 4 things must be present for education to occur. And that means the 4 things are that the child must have someone to wake them up in the morning to go to school, must have someone to put them to bed at night to go to sleep. It must have someone to help the child with their homework, and they must have someone who's present to teach them to mind the teacher. And if those 4 things are not present, all of them, if those 4 things are not present, education cannot occur. And so he asked the question, who can do that? Who can wake the child up in the morning? Who can put a child to bed in the morning? Who's going to be there at the table with the child to help them with their homework? And I don't necessarily mean help so much as in you know how to do it and you're proficient in the work. That's wonderful if that's the case. But help in the sense of telling the child, I'm going to sit here with you because you're not getting up from this table until it's finished. Someone who actually demonstrates the importance of getting it done and getting it done right and not being sloppy and not rushing through. And I'm going to sit here with you until I see that you have demonstrated that. That's what helping to get the homework done means. And mind the teacher, basically saying there is a consequence for you here where you live with me if your behavior in school is not correct. So the child goes to school knowing that they have to behave in a certain way because whatever's going to happen in the school may be whatever, but there are consequences in your house for what happens with that child wherever they go, and particularly in school. Walter Williams has told us that if these things are not happening, it does not matter how much money you put into an educational system. It does not matter how many grad students come into the classroom and tell stories. It does not matter how many games and educational games that you play. If those things are not present, a child could not learn. And I'll give it to you even better than that. What he's actually saying is you cannot teach an unparented child. Children who do not have those 4 things present are unparented. And unparented children, by and large, for the most part, are unteachable. And it seems to me, maybe some of the problem we're having in these systems is that we are flooding them with money and we are filling them up with unparented children. And maybe what would be better is to actually take maybe a pause and spend the money or the time or the energy or show some interest in shoring up the family, since we know that if this family is not shored up, if this child is not parented, they will not learn. And this is why I want someone to please tell Sonny Hostin this. Please tell her you don't have to sit, Sonny. You don't have to sit on that show every day and talk and talk and talk like Earth, Wind, and Fire said. I saw your face down in the crowd, saying nothing, talking loud. You don't have to do that. You can learn something, Sonny. You can be better than what you are. You can actually find out some information. And guess what? You come on the show the next day and have something to say, and people go, isn't that an interesting perspective? You do not have to sit on there with that. I'd be sad too if I were you. with that sad, forlorn expression that you have every day, showing your depression, darling, you wear it on your sleeve. You don't have to do this. Life can be better. You can be happier, more fulfilled, and more rich. You know what does that? Truth. Accepting truth will do that. So please let Sunny Hostin know she can watch this video and many others. There's a lot of truth out here for her, and she should go ahead and avail herself to it. Please remember to like, share, subscribe. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for joining me on my channel. Please come back and visit the channel again. Press the notification button so you'll know every time I drop a video. I can't wait to see you back on this channel again. You have a great night. Bye-bye.